I know a lot about bullies. I was raised by a bully. My father, my old man, was a bully, and he bullied me, and he was a bastard. And I haven't spoken to him in 25 years because the fact of the matter is, I hate his guts. I hate his guts because he was a bully who just, let's be frank, he fucking terrorized me when I was growing up. He really scared the ever-living shit out of me just about every day. I grew up under the thumb of a bully. And I was bullied in school a few times, especially in middle school, like around, 5th, 6th, 7th grade. Yeah, I got bullied a lot. I got bullied a lot for various reasons, partly flaws in my own character, partly because I was always a new kid, because my old man was this banker and we moved around a lot because of his work. And because of this, I was always like the new kid. There were a few years there between the 4th grade and 7th, 8th grade where I went to, half a dozen different schools. So I was always the new kid, so I was always bullied, especially at that age, the middle school years where boys are trying to figure out where they are in the totem pole. And so their aggressiveness is often turned into bullying towards other kids, the weaker kids. And like I said, my old man was also a bully, and he bullied me throughout my entire childhood and adolescence. He was a real bastard. And the older I get, and now with children of my own, whom I certainly do not bully, not even close, right? Just a fucking, I'm a girl around my kids, right? Of course, because, that's the natural effect. The child of a bully will either bully himself or will be just a pushover insofar as his own kids. I prefer to be a pushover, quite frankly. My kids do not live in fear of me, but I lived in fear of my own man. I was bullied a lot, and I learned a lot because of it. Because when you're on the receiving end of that kind of bullying, you know wherever you speak. And so I'm going to tell you about bullying. See, the first thing you have to understand about bullying or whatever, or let me rephrase this. When you get bullied, you have to stand up for yourself. I don't care how big the guy is, how mean the guy is. I don't really care if he's got like a gun. If he's bullying you, that is just trying to push you around for the sake of establishing dominance, for the sake of his own insecurity, and to show other people or even himself that he's the big man, and he's going to try to push you over and be cruel to you. If you're ever in that situation, you stand up. Unless there is actual mortal threat, the guy is actually holding a gun to your head. If it's just the possibility that you're going to take a beating, even perhaps a severe beating, you go ahead, you take it. And you fight like hell, of course. You do whatever is necessary to inflict some damage on the bully, but it won't matter if he beats the ever-living shit out of you and leaves you in a puddle of blood. It will not matter, because he'll know that he can't bully you. Because, see, you have to understand the nature of bullies. Bullies, they thrive on fear. They don't actually want to inflict damage. It's not that they're so good-natured or anything. It's rather they're kind of afraid of it. They're actually operating, and they realize that they're operating on thin ice, because they never really know if the object of their bullying is going to hit back. And a lot of times, see, a bully won't know until the fight actually starts that he doesn't have what it takes to fight. See? Now, in my own case, quite frankly, because I was humiliated so consistently at home, because I felt so powerless at home, because my old man was, like I said, a bully who relentlessly bullied me and teased me and mocked me and humiliated me all throughout my childhood. Precisely because of that, and that I simply could not take it, even though at home I had to take it because my father was so much bigger than me, and of course, I'd gotten used to this bullying, and so I felt, small and weak in comparison. Well, whenever I got outside of home and anybody bullied me or tried to bully me, I'd swing. Every time. You have no idea how many times I got suspended for fighting. You have no idea how many, schoolyard scraps I got into. And because of my frustration with the bullying that I was receiving at home, if anybody tried to bully me in the outside world, I just do whatever it took. I didn't care. One time, because of this, it was, like I said, a combination of factors, a failure of my personality, my own troubles at home, and because, I was a new kid. One time, I remember quite clearly, I was in the 6th grade, I think. I was living in Yorktown Heights, where Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez came from, and she claims that it was like some, barrio or some shit like that. Yorktown Heights is a very expensive neighborhood in Westchester. And one time I got off the school bus, and there were about a dozen kids waiting to tease me and mock me and potentially beat the shit out of me. And I got into a fight with them. And of course I got roughed up pretty bad. Yeah, it wasn't pleasant, right? And I was crying and scared shitless. But I didn't back off. It is better to get the shit kicked out of you by a bully than to kowtow to them. Because if you kowtow to them, they will always lord it over you, and you will never be able to get out from the boot heel of the bully. You will never feel free from fear, because that's what bullies are about. They want you to be afraid of them. Because that's how they impose control. Impose control not just on you, but all the people around you. See? And a lot of times a bully is going to, pick on you and try to squash you down. And see, it's not so much you as to give an example to all the people around. See? They want to show that they can squash you and thereby send a message to everybody else that they are not to be trifled with, that the bully is tough enough. Right? So of course a bully is going to pick on somebody smaller than them and somebody new. Why somebody new? Because somebody new doesn't have the depth of relationships with the other students. Because see, if a bully picks on, say, a smaller, younger, weaker kid, for example, but everybody knows the smaller, weaker kid and likes him, then if the bully picks on him, everybody's going to despise the bully. But if this smaller, weaker kid shows up and he's just some stranger who doesn't have any strong relationships, strong ties to the other kids in the class, well, he can pick on that kid with impunity, potentially beat the ever-living shit out of him, and nobody's going to say squat. And everybody's going to be like, oh, wow, the bully beat up that new kid. Oh, that poor, new kid. Oh, he's a loser, because the bully beat up on him. And he's going to be more isolated. That happened to me a lot of times, several times, as a matter of fact. Okay? That I got beat up by the bully, and because of the fact that I wouldn't kowtow to the bully, I was ostracized. I was ostracized more than if I had kowtowed. But I just couldn't. Just temperamentally couldn't because of the situation I had at home. My home life prevented me from kowtowing. Because I just kowtowed too many times at home, And when I finally sort of woke up to what the fuck was going on insofar as my relationship with my old man, at first I tried to keep my arm's length distance from him, and then eventually I just never spoke to him again. I know that he sometimes watches these videos that I make. If he's watching now, I hope he's watching, because the message I have for him, and this is from the heart, I hope he dies painfully. I mean really painfully, something that takes a few days, because I truly, truly hate his guts. Okay? And that's the thing about bullies. See, they inspire nothing but hatred. Okay? They don't inspire respect, much less affection. But bullies are respected because they are feared. But the second their power is down, the second they no longer have the ability to inflict damage to others, everybody falls on them. Everybody tries to devour them and destroy them. That happens. That's the way of the world. So the point I'm trying to make here, is that, insofar as the bully is concerned, always fight him. Even if you lose, it doesn't matter. And you'll be ostracized and it'll be unpleasant, and fuck it, it doesn't matter. You will own your self-respect. And if you kowtow to a bully, you will forever feel that cancer of shame on you. Because in my own case, in my family life, to repeat, my old man bullied me, and of course I kowtowed to him. Do you have any idea the rage I felt? The rage I felt at this imbecilic buffoon, making me feel miserable about myself, belittling me. It causes a hatred that, it's never erased. Okay, and it's a hatred that grows stronger and stronger with time. Because as you get older and you get more experience, you start to, realize the depth of the evil that it is. I hate bullies with a passion, I mean, sure, I have a strong personality and I like to be sort of like in control of the situation, but I don't try to dictate terms and I don't try to push people around, and I certainly have never consciously, at any rate, tried to bully anybody, because it just so goes against my very nature. I mean, I despise bullies. And what I've noticed is, because of my own experience and the accidents of my upbringing and the accidents of my personality, that whenever I spot a bully, I just go up to them. It's like an iron filing to a magnet, I go right up to them and I start goading them. I love it, because what I really want to do is having the excuse to kick the ever-living shit out of the guy, to hurt him, It's unfortunate, but that's the way I am. And, I'm not sure if I'm going to put up this video, because, this is kind of personal shit on the one hand. But on the other hand, I'm saying this so that you who are a bully, perhaps, you better fucking watch your back, because the second people realize that you've got your guard down, that you're not as tough, they're going to whack the ever-living shit out of you. Know that for a fact. And to those who've been bullied, I just say, more power to you. Go and kick the shit out of the fucker, okay? If the fuck stick is weak, if you see him in a moment of weakness, do not hesitate to fuck him up. Just go right up to him, take a baseball bat to the back of his head. Yeah. You're not going to get any kind of, any kind of disapproval from my end, I'll tell you that right now. See, because if you are to hurt or harm somebody who's defenseless, you're an asshole, in my book. But if you hurt or harm a defenseless bully, that's what I say. Coach clap for you, okay? Because they're fucking low. And those bullies, man, they never learn. They never learn, There's a kind of personality that is a bully all of his life, because he is fundamentally insecure about his position. He lords it over those who are weaker than himself, those he has positions of power over, And we hear about stuff like, sexual harassment, shit like that, which happens, by the way. It's not a myth. It happens all the time from bully assholes like this. But a lot of times these bullies are far more insidious. They don't want to fuck some secretary or some shit like that. What they want to do is have some guy who's just going to be their whipping boy, and just kick that guy and just rub him down until he's like fucking nothing, okay? Rub him down. Why? Because they can. Because they need it. Because their ego is so weak. They are fundamentally such weaklings that they need to rub down somebody weaker than themselves so that they can feel better about who they are. It's a kind of human sacrifice, if you think about it. They are sacrificing the self-respect and dignity of somebody else for their own aggrandizement. And that's despicable as far as I'm concerned. I'm having a very difficult time doing this video, and so I'm going to end it here, okay? Because the more I think about it, the more angry I am. The bullying I got at the hands of my own man happened, 45 years ago. Starting when I was a child, and just making fun of me and bullying me and teasing me and ridiculing me and making me feel miserable about myself. And a lot of the flaws of my personality, I feel, come directly from that bullying. And the fact of the matter is, it was unfortunate. It was like the nice upper middle class upbringing, the country clubs and the nice cars and all that shit. But the closed doors, my own man was a bully and my mother did nothing about it. And now as a father, now with 2 small children, I think back on the experiences that I lived, and it fills me with rage, even greater rage than, in my 20s or my 30s. I'm a 50-year-old man, and I hate that fucker, and I really do wish him dead. And I suspect that he's watching it up to this point, so I'll just tell you right now, motherfucker, I hate you, and I hope you die painfully. I'm talking like a week to die, something horrible, okay? Because that's what a bully inspires, hatred. And as far as you dealing with the bully is concerned, if he's a true bully and he's truly fucking with you or anybody else, do the right thing. kick him in the nuts, because that's all he deserves. A good, strong knee right to his balls. And if you're lucky, maybe you'll blow one of them out.